Hot on the heels of the adventure touring-focused 1290 Super Adventure S, KTM have just unveiled the 2021 version of their more aggressive rally-focused Super Adventure R. There are loads of interesting updates across the bike, so in today's video we're going to look at the 10 best new features of this monster of an adventure motorcycle. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see more of the latest motorcycle news right here on YouTube, then please do remember to hit subscribe. First up, there have been a bunch of tweaks to the chassis, with the steering head being moved back by 15mm, the front section of the engine has been relocated, and the die-cast open lattice swing arm has been ever so slightly lengthened. KTM claim that the changes to the steering head result in sharper handling, whilst the longer swing arm gives a greater depth of feeling under acceleration. The bodywork has also been completely revised and trimmed in order to give the rider the best possible contact with the bike, whilst the subframe has also been reconstructed with improved ergonomics and at the same time a reduction in weight. A slim stepped seat has a height of 880mm, which is about 10mm down on the previous generation and offers storage underneath. The windscreen, levers, foot pegs and handlebars are all adjustable, allowing the rider to dial in their position. The fuel tank has now adopted the 3-cell design which was first introduced on the 890 Adventure R, with 2 of the cells slung low on either side to help with ergonomics whilst also holding the weight of the fuel lower for better agility and handling. Capacity remains at 23 litres, which should be good for about 250 miles according to their quoted fuel consumption figures. Suspension remains largely the same, with their in-house WP brand supplying a fully adjustable 48mm upside-down fork with 220mm of travel, and compression and rebound damping dealt with separately in each fork leg. The shock is also from WP and also gets 220mm of travel, offering full adjustment by hand and an external gas reservoir. However, KTM say that they put the bike through some comprehensive testing in the Californian desert, as well as long stretches of varied landscapes across Europe, and as a result rework the settings for improved performance. WP also provide the steering damper, which now attaches directly to a newly designed lower triple clamp, meaning that there's no longer a separate bracket for the damper. As with all adventure bikes, the 1290 Super packs plenty of tech, all of which can be administered through a new 7-inch TFT with an improved connectivity unit that results in faster and more reliable transmission. That makes the screen half an inch larger than the previous generation, and it can be tilted to find the optimal angle in bright conditions. A scratch and glare resistant finish also helps, whilst the menus have been redesigned to make them easier to navigate, with the rider now able to assign favourite settings to the home screen. Turn-by-turn nav is still available from the KTM My Ride app. Although the previous generation did already have lean-sensitive ABS and traction control, there's a new upgraded 6-axis inertial measurement unit, whilst the riding modes have also been tweaked with a refined traction control system that they say is more predictable and intuitive. The street riding mode gives you medium traction control intervention and a standard throttle response. Rain, on the other hand, maxes out traction control and delivers a gentle throttle with peak power capped at 100 horses. Sport gives you maximum throttle response and dials down the traction control to allow for a bit more slip at the rear wheel, as does the off-road mode, although it has the same 100 horsepower cap as Rain. An optional rally mode allows the rider to play with all the settings to get the most intuitive feel out of the bike on rougher terrain. Elsewhere in the electronics, the headlight has been improved with a wider beam, better daylight performance, and integrated cornering detection. Visually, it's also been remodeled to give the Super Adventure a new face, whilst the taillight has seen improvements as well, with an adaptive brake light as an optional extra. Although peak power remains at 160 horsepower and peak torque at 138 Nm, the LCA V-twin has of course been cleaned up for Euro 5 emissions regulations, whilst they've also managed to shave 1.6 kilograms off the weight of it. There are lighter engine cases, new pistons and updated coatings, whilst in collaboration with Pankel, KTM have also reworked the gearbox shifting mechanism for faster, lighter and more responsive shifts. The optional quick shifter is also said to be faster and more precise for 2021. For the more serious adventure rider, a reworked airbox will come as welcome news, as it can be more easily accessed by simply removing 4 screws, which ought to make regular cleaning and replacement faster. It also now features vertical ribs instead of horizontal, which help to direct dust or sand towards the bottom of the airbox. KTM have also done some work to optimize airflow through the bike with 2 separate radiators instead of the one-piece unit of the previous gen. This is a feature we're seeing more and more of on the big adventure bikes, with the Triumph Tiger and Africa Twin both having split radiators in their most recent iterations. KTM's design helps to keep the rider cool, especially in low-speed conditions, by using air ducts to divert hot streams of air away from the legs. Tyres also get an update with adventure-specific Bridgestone A41s for the road, and AX41s can be spec'd for more off-road bias in some markets. They're mounted on Alpina's aluminium spoke wheels, which can be run tubeless with an O-ring sealant in the spoke nipples. There's a new tyre pressure monitoring system which they say provides more detailed customization, and braking is still taken care of by a pair of 4-pot radially mounted Brembos on 320mm discs. For 2021, the Super Adventure R comes with a state-of-the-art transponder-based keyless system called KTM Race On with an all-new ARA mode. Once activated, there's a 10-minute window to start the bike, but once that time elapses, the keyless function is deactivated. This adds a bit of extra security as it essentially means that someone can't ride off on your bike even if you're nearby once that 10 minutes has elapsed. When the bike stops, there's a 5-minute window that should provide enough time for refueling, although this ARA feature can be disabled through the dash if you so wish. Last up, there's a new paint scheme and set of graphics with a blue finish on the tank, and combined with that typical white and orange, it gives it a bit more of a racy look. Pricing starts at £15,999, which is a couple of £100 more than the 2020 bike, but arguably some of these new features could justify it. As always, I'd love to know what you think of it down in the comments below. For the same money, you could get a fully tricked out Harley-Davidson Pan America Special with its adaptive suspension and competitive power figures, but I reckon the KTM still has to be the weapon of choice if you're doing more demanding off-road riding. Or there's always the GS and now the Multistrada V4, so I'd love to know your pick down in the comments. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.